The latest IPCC or the Intergovernmental Panel report on climate change is nothing short of shocking. It now knows after a research done for the past 5 years that human activities such as vehicular traffic as well as cutting down of forests leads to increase in greenhouse gas emissions. And that is leading to the global warming and rise in temperatures across the globe. The report further states that global temperatures have already increased by 1.1 degrees Celsius across the world, but could breach the 1.5 degrees Celsius mark as early as the next decade, which is obviously quite alarming because this would lead to irreversible damage and sudden change in climate, such as depletion of the ice sheets in Antarctica or increase in droughts and flood situations in many parts of the world. The IPCC report clearly talks about carbon inequality, which essentially means that the data that shows about 35% of the world's population living in countries that emit more than 9 tons of CO2, which is carbon dioxide, per capita, in comparison with 41% population living in countries that emit less than 3 tons of CO2 per capita. This includes countries like South Asia, Southeast Asia, of course the developing countries and smaller island nations that are not directly responsible for the kind of emissions that are increasing the global temperatures. The report also states that sinks such as natural flow of oceans and rivers that can absorb a lot of carbon emissions are also getting disturbed, and their power to absorb the kind of carbon emissions has reduced over a long period of time. In all, it spells disaster for all of us living beings who survive on this earth. India's stand on the global carbon emission has been very clear. The loss and damages that should be paid to countries like India, of course, the amount has been taken up as a fund of $100 billion, but the distribution of this fund is still not clear as to how it should be distributed to countries that are developing and still require the kind of carbon credit that they can accumulate. World over, we have about 500 gigatons of carbon credit that was with us globally, but we will overshoot that carbon credit as well as per the current pledges the countries have taken. Many ways the policy decisions are not being followed. There are a lot of measures that are being taken up by countries such as India as well, such as looking at alternative fuel sources, stoppage and reduction in burning of fossil fuels, as well as integration of green energy vehicles, bringing in electric vehicles, and also looking at reducing the kind of carbon emissions on a daily basis. Of course, there are other polluting elements that also need to be looked at by India, such as burning of fossil fuels, along with the fact that burning of stubble that also causes a large amount of pollution in the National Capital Region and the Northern Gangetic Plains every year.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mo.